Hi guys, welcome to the channel on another beautiful, crisp morning in Torrevieja, Spain. Now, as you know, I don't normally do short midweek videos or news stories for that matter, but there are a lot of my viewers who are either hoping to buy, intending to buy property in Spain, and this is super important for them because there's a lot of nonsense going about. The press in the UK is going a bit crazy, jumped on a bandwagon, and they're not being accurate with their reporting. And I want you to be aware of the actual facts as they are. So yesterday I delved into the story and things aren't as advertised. I'll explain in a moment. But I woke this morning, so we're going to record this early because I have a fairly busy day ahead, and then I play pool tonight. And I originally came out here at 7:30 a.m. and I was faced with the most beautiful sunrise I've seen in a long time. And I should have filmed it, and I didn't. I was enjoying it too much. I got my coffee and just sat there with my feet up and had a bit of music on. And again, it really made me realise just how lucky I am to be able to live like this. Fantastic. So yes, if this were accurate, it would be massive, or it is massive news, worrying news. It's being reported that Spain is planning to impose 100% purchase tax for non-EU residents such as Brits and Americans. And if that were to happen, it would be a disaster, absolute disaster. I mean, at the moment, the tax in Spain on properties already very high, 10%, or I should say, I've just paid 10%, but it's an average of 10% because depending on what area you're in, for example, Murcia is 8%. Valencia is 10%, which covers me, but it averages around 10%, which is it's just too much. You're just giving it away for nothing. I really don't get the logic behind such a massive amount of money that the government can charge. They must make an absolute fortune from property sales. So if it did go up to 100%, it would be just such a shocking increase. Now, the statement in question and what's been jumped on, the statement was made by the Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez himself. So it did come straight from the horse's mouth, but I must stress that the facts are being altered, sensationalised by a lot of the press and on social media and YouTube. And although he did make this speech, it's important to understand that this was just one under a minute clippet from a long speech, a long statement, which has been seized upon. So ever since I've heard this a couple of days ago, I've researched it thoroughly, as thoroughly as you can nowadays. But I have went to reputable news outlets, etc. So the information I'm going to provide you now is as accurate as I can possibly find it, which I think is really important when I'm giving information or news to my subscribers, knowing that a lot of you, this is something that would be very important to you. In these days of fake news and hearsay, I want to make sure that everything I say here is as true and accurate as possible. And also, it's very important to say that just because a Prime Minister or the Prime Minister makes a statement, it doesn't mean that it'll happen. Because we all know these days, politicians are likely to say anything that's going to keep the masses at bay, regardless of what may or may not happen. But in saying all of that, if I was a non-EU citizen and I was dreaming of or hoping to or going to buy a property in Spain, this would be of super importance to me. And it would definitely make me think, no matter what's going to happen, of pushing ahead with any plans that I'm making, just in case. Get it done, get it over with. Now, although this has really just been announced, it's really important to understand that the statement itself has to be taken in context. It was taken in a long statement talking about housing plans for the period 2026 to 2030. So nothing's going to happen quick or soon, if anything. And I imagine if this was ever to go ahead anyway, like all governmental legislation, it would take quite a while to go through parliamentary procedures, etc., etc., etc. But yes, anyone who's thinking about it or in the process, follow the story closely just to make sure, but don't believe everything you hear. Really, don't believe everything you hear. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about the reasons why or the reasons behind these suggestions, along with many other suggestions that are being made at the minute. But as most of us know, there's a brewing property housing crisis in Spain, and it's getting worse all the time. And it's to do with a massive amount of property here is owned by non-Spaniards. And it's such a popular place to buy, prices have just been going up and up and up, pricing everyday people here out of the market. So one of the greatest difficulties for Spanish natives, whose, by the way, average income is fairly low, is that they just can't, a lot of people just can't afford either purchasing or renting costs. And it's a big problem. And, you know, this has been highlighted recently with demonstrations all over Spain, try and get the Spanish government to address the problem, face the problem, and sort the problem out. And it's not going to go away because an increasing amount of Spanish people are struggling, which has been largely created by investors, retirees, and just people moving from all over Europe and England and America, etc., to Spain. Basically, people from richer countries are eating up all the availability as fast as it can be built. But if something like this were to go ahead, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it's totally excessive. It's designed to price non-EU people out of the market, and it would be just a knee-jerk reaction that's certainly not going to fix the problem for many, many reasons. And it sounds like a band-aid that doesn't apply to people from other European countries. And Europe's a very big place. There's no shortage of potential investors and purchasers from increasingly prosperous European countries. No shortage. And also, there's a lot of opposition to this, because it's been bandied about before, but there's a lot of opposition to it within the Spanish Parliament. And it's also important to keep in mind that Sanchez leads a minority government, and we've found it very, very difficult to get widespread political support, you know. And when you think about it, we all know this, Spain raises a large percentage of its income from taxes on property and tourism. You know, the foreigners that come not only spend money on property and pay taxes, the properties that they live in have to be built, they have to be serviced, which creates wealth and jobs here in the country. So, not that I know much about this subject, it seems to me that the wealth should be used to help and subsidise housing for Spanish people. They need to make housing more affordable for Spanish nationals, or begin fixing the problem in similar ways than just attack a percentage of outsiders. The Brits in particular have always been big buyers here in Spain. This would be a massive blow for the future of potentially new British expats. If it were in place, there wouldn't be any eventually. And obviously, as I see it, it would only increase the buying power of EU citizens like the Germans, the French and Belgians. So it doesn't seem to me to be very fair to isolate non-EU buyers, and I think it's unlikely to solve the problem whatsoever, as the vacuum would be filled very fast by people within Europe. Right, I've sort of drifted into sort of politics there, and I know very little about politics. So as I said, this wasn't a planned video, but I thought it was important enough for me to stray away from my usual type of topic just on this occasion. So I'll leave it there, but shouldn't be fooled by what we hear, and it's amazing how the press in the UK just manipulate these sort of things. They've really made it look like this is going to happen. And by the way, he said, not that this makes much of a difference, but he says up to 100%. That's not a plan that's been made and fixed. So I'm going to go back now to my usual chilled routine. I have a few messages to do now, and then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to sit with a nice cold drink and an apple turnover and relax in the sun. By the way, this camera turned off there, saying it was overheating. It's January. It's amazing. Fantastic. Like, there's a wee chill in the air even now at this time, but it's lovely. You could sit here, no problem. You could sit, there's people sitting down there with their tops off. So if you found the video enjoyable or useful, please give it a thumbs up. A subscribe would be fantastic. If you want to be notified of the next videos that come out, hit the wee bell icon. And if there's anyone you know that this video may be useful to, just share it with them. But I'm going to leave it off there. Hopefully next proper video coming on this Saturday on a more light-hearted subject. So until next time, Bye for now.